This is my favorite story. Ready? This
Oh,
is by
yes.
far the favorite. So this is Portugal, and the site is Anta da Tapadão.
Okay, and
Anta
don't
da
those
Tapadão.
stones look very similar to what you'd see in Stonehenge?
Hmm. So it's pretty much your standard dolmen style thing. So so this story starts with there's a couple of these very large. So this is the second largest dolmen in all of Europe. It's massive. So those stones are about 4 meters tall. So
Wow.
quite an impressive thing. So I go and there's a there's a passageway that's now fallen in and buried. But I'm looking down the passageway and you can see a bit of light at the end of it. And you can see from the bottom of the hill through this tunnel into the dolmen. And I hear music. So I can hear laughter and then I can hear kind of singing, but it's unison singing. Can't quite make it out. And a drum. I'm like, okay, something's happening here. So I make it up around the top because I can't get through this collapsed tunnel. And I look down, and from the where you're standing on the hill there, you look down, and it's about a meter and a half drop into the dolmen. So I'm trying to think, well, hmm, can I? Yeah, I'm sure I can jump down there. So then before I jump, I look across to say, can I get out? So is there a way out? So I look across, and yes, there's a kind of a little V between some stones, and I think I can get out. So I'm inside.
Wow.
So I'm in, and as happens with me, the time shifts and there's a ceremony going on. So I peel against the stones because I don't want to intrude. I don't want to, pull focus. So I try to just stick up against the stones. So there's a shaman sitting, uh, in the middle is another sort of blanket or something, more like a mat that has bones on it. And again, crystals and flowers. Then behind that is a fire, and then behind that is this shaman with a drum. And so I can't quite make out what they're singing, but it's something like um, finishes a verse, and then he starts what I think is like the chorus, and it's something like, "This is the guy who did the thing, who had the something," and everyone joins in. And then he asks, stops, and everyone has a bit of chitter chatter. And then somebody steps forward and they tell a story about the guy. And this person that stepped forward told a story about him, this guy. There was a flood. Next to where this dolmen is a river. And the river flooded. It was quite a big flood. And this guy swam across the river to save a child, a little girl. And he saved the girl, put her on his shoulders, and carried her back across the river. So this woman told the story. So then the shaman starts drumming and he sings that story as the verse. And then everyone joins the chorus. This is the guy who did the thing, who swam the river and saved the child. So every time a story gets told, a little part gets added to the chorus. So I'm like, oh, that's sweet. So I am looking around, and a young man standing across the dolmen sees me. And so he looks at me, and I'm thinking, oh, well, it's happened now.
Been
So
seen.
I quietly scoot around and I said, what's happening? And he says, oh, we're singing the life of my grandfather. I said, okay. And he said, yeah, he said, it's a ceremony we do. It could take all day. It could take several days. It goes as long as it goes. And this is a shaman who travels from village to village doing this. That's his specialty, is he does this singing the life ceremony. So they add these verses, and yes, that's exactly what's happening. So I said, well, why do you do this? And he said, well, when we come into this life, we come in with amnesia. We don't know who we are when we arrive. We don't know who we've been. So we don't want that to happen to anybody else. So we're teaching my grandfather his song so that when he goes where he's going, he's going to know his song. And his song will carry him back into this life, but he'll know who he is and who he was because he has his song. We're teaching my grandfather his song.
Oh my goodness. So it's the song of your life. And again, not just for the grandfather, but again for people left behind, to sing that song to bring the memories, the spirit, the energy of the grandfather to always be with them. And to have your unique song. These are just so beautiful, so beautiful as ideas to embody with, ceremonies now, really. Can you imagine doing a ceremony that, you know, celebrates your life, but from the perspective of other people and the things that you've done? And wouldn't that be also a nice thing to start creating here and now, before you make your transition? What would be the song of your life? What are the pivotal times, and what would be the melody? What would be the tune that you can? And that's triggered a memory for me, John
Hmm.
Paul. When I was a child, myself and my best friend, we used to put on shows for our parents who very patiently listened to them. And literally, we just used to stand on top of this table and make up songs and dances and things like that. And do you know that all these years later, I can still sing one of those songs? I still remember the
Brilliant.
melody. I still remember it. Yeah, it became a staple. I didn't write anything down. There was never anything written. There were never any lyrics or anything. We literally, dressed up, and when we couldn't think of anything more, we'd get off the table and say, "Your turn." So it was
Yeah.
very, spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yet I remember one of the songs that I sang. And wouldn't it be lovely to be spontaneous and create a song out of a particular memory? And we lose that ability we lose our creativity. Um, I just love these, from whether it's Australia, where you spend a year in touch with Nate, or with the community, then you go to an island, your bones, and start making that separation. And then this one where it's the song, and then the one in Germany where everybody goes in and says, "Hey, this is what we loved about you, and this is what we found a little challenging about you," so that you
Yeah.
learn. All of these, though, the theme is that, it makes your life, and for those here living, much more meaningful, much
Yeah.
more meaningful.
Well, and I think there's serious, serious, significant energy, power, whatever you want to say, about creating a song. So we're blessed in that the history of the Waitaha people, which are the settlers of New Zealand before the Maori, we're privileged that we have their story because it was in song. And the elders tell you that it's never been corrupted because it's in song.
And
If it was just a
that's where
story,
sound doesn't lie. Light can be deceptive. And we are, of course, we come from the sound and light fields, but light can be deceptive, reflective, but sound never lies. So if you want to discern whether somebody's saying a truth or not, listen to the sound of their voice, listen to the song.